Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you today that no matter what you are facing, God will work it. We spend so much of our lives trying to control every aspect of our journey, trying to figure it all out on our own. But here's the truth. God's timing is perfect, and while we might not see it right now, He's working things out behind the scenes for your good. It's easy to get frustrated when things aren't happening fast enough or when your prayers seem unanswered. You may feel like the clock is ticking and that the world is moving on while you're stuck in the same place. But let me tell you something, asterisk, God's timing is never wrong. It may not be your timing, but it's always the right time. What He has for you will come at the moment when you are ready to receive it, even if that moment feels far away. Don't get discouraged by the delays. Trust that He is orchestrating everything with precision, preparing you for what's next. Remember, even when it feels like nothing is happening, He is at work. Now, while we often focus on the outcome, I want to challenge you to trust the process, not just the destination. We're so fixated on where we want to go that we sometimes overlook the incredible things God is doing in us while we're on the journey. If you only focus on the end result, you might miss the lesson, the growth, and the transformation that is happening along the way. The process is where God refines you. It's where He teaches you things you couldn't learn anywhere else. So stop rushing the process. Trust it. Know that every step you take is a part of a bigger plan. And let me tell you, every struggle you face is not a setback, it's a setup. I know it feels like the pain you're going through is never going to end, and you may be wondering why you have to walk through these trials. But here's what I know. God doesn't waste pain. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every setback is part of a process that builds you. Strength is not developed in comfort, it's developed in the struggle. The very thing you think is breaking you is actually the thing that's making you. God is building something in you that couldn't be formed any other way. The struggle is not the end of your story, it's just the beginning of what God is about to do. And finally, remember this. Asterisk, God's plans for you are bigger than you can imagine. You might not see how everything fits together, and honestly, you don't have to. You don't have to understand everything right now. What you need to do is trust that God knows exactly what He's doing. What looks like a detour to you could be the very path that leads you to your destiny. His plans are greater than your plans. His timing is better than your timing, and His ways are higher than your ways. Trust Him even when it doesn't make sense. Trust that He is working it all together for your good. So no matter where you are right now, hold on to this truth. God will work it. Asterisk, He is with you. He is for you, and He is moving mountains on your behalf. Even when you can't see it, trust that He is working things out. And when the time is right, when you've walked through the process, when you've been refined in the fire, you will see that everything, every struggle, every delay, every moment was worth it. God is working it, and it's going to be good. We all experience those moments in life when everything feels out of control. Things seem to be moving in the opposite direction, and we struggle to understand why things aren't happening the way we want them to. But here's the truth. God's timing is always perfect. You might look around and feel like nothing is going the way you planned, but what you can't see is that He's working things out in ways you couldn't even imagine. The problem is, we live in a world where we're used to getting things instantly. Everything around us moves at a rapid pace, from social media to fast food. We've come to expect everything to happen now. So when things don't fall into place immediately, it can leave us feeling frustrated, impatient, and unsure of what's next. But what if I told you that the waiting is part of the process? That the delay you're experiencing right now is not a denial, but a setup for something bigger? God doesn't move on our timeline. He sees the bigger picture, the entire story from start to finish. While we're focused on the next step, He's aligning things that we can't yet comprehend. We may feel like we're stuck, waiting for something to change. But in those moments of waiting, God is preparing us for what's coming. We have to trust that the timing of what He's doing is far better than what we could ever plan for ourselves. Think about the great things that have happened in your life. Did they come quickly? Maybe they did. But more often than not, the greatest blessings came after a period of waiting. Maybe you didn't understand it at the time, but when it all came together, you saw how perfectly everything aligned. Sometimes it's the waiting that gives you the strength, the patience, and the perspective to fully appreciate the blessing when it finally arrives. So when you're feeling like you're in a holding pattern, or like you're waiting for something that doesn't seem to come, take a step back and remind yourself, God is never late. His timing is perfect. He's not working in your speed, but in His. And when it happens, when He opens that door, you'll see that it was exactly the right moment. It It wasn't too soon. It wasn't too late. It was perfect. Trust the process. Trust that his timing is always right. And in that trust, you'll find peace in the waiting. We live in a world that loves instant results. We are constantly looking for the quickest way to achieve our goals, the fastest route to success, and the most immediate gratification. But here's the thing, life doesn't always work like that, and neither does God's plan for us. Often we find ourselves so focused on the end result, so obsessed with getting to the destination, that we miss what God is trying to do in us along the way. It's easy to say, I want this, I want that, and expect things to line up perfectly and quickly. But true growth happens not in the arrival, but in the journey. It's in the moments of struggle, when things aren't going the way we expected, that we learn the most about ourselves and about the God we serve. If you only focus on the end result, the breakthrough, the success, the blessing, you might miss the lessons that are being planted in you along the way. When God is working in your life, he's doing more than just setting up the next victory. He's refining you, teaching you, shaping your character in ways that are essential for the success he has in store for you. If you rush the process, if you skip the steps or try to bypass the tough times, you'll miss out on the transformation that needs to happen. The journey is where your faith is tested, where your perseverance is built, and where your trust in God deepens. Consider this. What you're going through right now, what feels like a struggle or even a delay, could be the very thing that prepares you for what's to come. What might seem like a detour is actually part of the path that leads you to your purpose. When you trust the process, you stop trying to control every outcome, and instead you learn to rest in the fact that God is in control. He knows the way, even when you don't. It's hard sometimes, I know. We want to rush to the end, to see the victory, to feel the relief. But the truth is, the victories along the way are just as important as the final one. They build you, shape you, and equip you for what God has next. The process is not something to be feared or avoided. It's something to be embraced, because in the waiting and in the walking, God is working in ways you may not even realize until you look back. Trust the journey. Trust that God is working even when the results aren't immediate, and let the process mold you into the person you need to be for the next step in your journey. Every single challenge you face has a purpose, even when it feels overwhelming, painful, or unfair. It's easy to look at struggles as setbacks, as things that hold us back or hinder our progress. But what if I told you that each struggle you face is actually you into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself? The pain we go through is not without purpose. It's part of the process that leads to greater strength, deeper faith, and a more grounded sense of self. It's in the hardest moments of life that we discover what we're really made of. When everything is smooth sailing, it's easy to feel confident, secure, and certain about the future. But the real test comes when the storms hit, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, when life doesn't go the way we planned. That's when God is at work in the deepest parts of our hearts, refining us in ways we can't see at the time. The struggle is the place where God works on your character, where he builds your perseverance and endurance, and where your faith becomes unshakable. Think about the goldsmith who refines gold. In order to purify the gold, it must be placed in fire. The fire isn't there to destroy it, it's there to remove the impurities, to make it shine brighter. It's uncomfortable, even painful, but without the fire, the gold would never reach its full potential. The same is true for us. The struggles, the setbacks, the painful moments, they are not meant to break you. They are meant to mold you, to refine you, to make you stronger than you were before. The struggles are the moments when God purifies your heart, your mind, and your spirit, preparing you for something greater. And here's the thing, God doesn't waste any pain. It's easy to question why we go through hard times. We wonder, why me? Why now? But every challenge, every hurt, every difficulty is an opportunity for growth. When you're in the struggle, it feels heavy and impossible, but when you come through it, you realize you've gained something invaluable. You've gained strength, wisdom, patience, and a deeper understanding of who you are and who God is. You've learned lessons you wouldn't have learned otherwise, and your faith has been tested and proven stronger. So when life feels tough, when it seems like everything is falling apart, don't lose heart. You are in the middle of something powerful. You're in the midst of being refined, of being strengthened, of being built up. The struggle is not the end of the story. It's a chapter in the process that leads to your breakthrough. Every step, every trial, every challenge is part of the divine shaping that will lead you to the person you're meant to be. So embrace the struggle, knowing that God is using it to work in you and through you, and that something amazing is being formed in the process. Sometimes in life, we find ourselves lost, confused, or unsure of where we're going. We look at our situation and wonder why things aren't turning out the way we thought they would. Maybe we don't understand why we're facing certain challenges or why our path doesn't look the way we imagined. But here's the truth. God's plans for us are far bigger, far better, and far more complex than anything we could ever plan on our own. Even when we can't see the bigger picture, He's working in ways that we might not fully understand, and that's okay. We often want to control the direction of our lives, but the reality is we don't always know what's best for us. God does. He sees the full scope of our journey, the past, the present, and the future, and He is perfectly orchestrating everything for our good, even when we don't see it. What seems like a detour or a setback may be leading us to something far greater than we could have ever imagined. It's in the moments when we feel lost or confused that we have to trust that God knows what He's doing. The thing is, God doesn't need our permission to move. He's not waiting for us to figure it out or to understand everything before He moves in our lives. He's working even when we don't see it. And sometimes the most difficult parts of our journey are the ones that are shaping us for the purpose He has in mind. The things we don't understand, the things that frustrate us, the moments that seem pointless, these are often the very things that prepare us for what's ahead. We might not see it at the moment, but God is using every part of our story to build something incredible. The key is to trust the process. Trust that God's plans for you are far bigger than you can imagine, even when it doesn't make sense. Trust that He's working things out behind the scenes in ways you can't yet understand. The path you're on may not look like what you envisioned, but God is leading you somewhere that is so much better. The destination isn't always clear in the moment, but the journey is always worth it when you know it's being guided by a higher purpose. And even when you can't see how things are going to work out, remember, He's got it all under control. In the end, what God has for you is far beyond anything you could plan or dream. The experiences, the challenges, the detours, they are all part of the bigger plan. God's plans for you are always greater than your understanding, and when you trust in Him, when you believe in His purpose, you'll begin to see that He's been working things out for your good all along. Even when you can't see it, God is leading you exactly where you need to go. You might not understand it now, but when you look back, you'll see that everything was part of the plan, God's plan. And it's always good. As we close today, I want to leave you with this simple truth. No matter where you are, no matter what you're facing, God will work it. The road may not always be easy, and the path may not always be clear, but know that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for your good. His timing is perfect, His process is transformative, and His plans are greater than anything we could ever imagine. In the moments of waiting, trust that God is preparing you. In the struggles, know that He is building you. And when you don't understand what's happening, rest in the certainty that His plans for you are far better than your own. God is not done with you yet. His work in your life is ongoing, and every step, every moment, every challenge is part of the beautiful masterpiece He's creating. So when the doubts come, when the struggles feel overwhelming, and when the waiting feels unbearable, hold on to this: God will work it. His plans are at work in your life even when you can't see it. Trust Him, trust the process, and trust that He is leading you exactly where you need to go. You are never alone in this journey, and in the end, you will see that everything was working together for your good. Keep moving forward with faith, and know that God will work it for you, through you, and in you.